The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu is a cooperative survival horror game inspired by the cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft. Rather than relying on constant jump scares, it builds tension through isolation, psychological uncertainty, and the feeling that something ancient is always watching. You and your team venture deep into a forgotten jungle in search of a legendary underground city. But the deeper you explore, the less you can trust your surroundings or even your own senses. It's a game that blends exploration, teamwork, and sanity mechanics into a tense survival experience. The question is whether the Mound creates lasting psychological horror or simply follows familiar Lovecraftian ideas. Pros and cons. On the positive side, the atmosphere is consistently unsettling. The sanity system creates unique gameplay situations. Cooperative mechanics encourage communication and teamwork. Environmental design successfully captures the feeling of exploring an ancient, cursed world. Sound design is excellent and constantly builds tension. On the downside, solo play feels significantly less engaging than multiplayer. Combat lacks depth compared to the exploration systems. Mission objectives can become repetitive during longer sessions, and the slow pacing won't appeal to players expecting constant action. Gameplay. The core gameplay revolves around exploration, survival, resource management, and cooperation. Your team enters dangerous environments, searching for valuable artifacts while trying to survive increasingly disturbing supernatural events. Unlike traditional survival horror games, the greatest threat isn't always the monsters. As your sanity begins to decline, hallucinations distort reality. Teammates may appear as enemies, familiar paths become confusing, and it becomes difficult to determine what is actually happening. This mechanic creates genuine psychological tension. Communication becomes essential because different players may experience completely different versions of the same situation. Trusting your teammates becomes just as important as managing your equipment. Resources are intentionally limited. Ammunition, medical supplies, and survival gear must be used carefully. Every expedition forces players to balance exploration with the growing risk of pushing too far. Combat exists, but it's clearly not the primary focus. Encounters feel dangerous, encouraging players to avoid unnecessary fights whenever possible. World and atmosphere. The jungle environments are one of the game's greatest strengths. Dense vegetation, ancient ruins, hidden caves, and forgotten temples create a constant sense of mystery. Every location feels isolated, and the deeper you travel, the more unsettling the world becomes. Environmental storytelling plays a major role. Strange symbols, abandoned camps, and mysterious relics gradually reveal pieces of a larger cosmic mystery without relying on lengthy exposition. The atmosphere successfully captures Lovecraft's themes of humanity confronting forces beyond comprehension, visuals, and audio. Visually, the Mound delivers detailed environments filled with impressive lighting and environmental effects. Darkness isn't simply used to hide enemies, it becomes a psychological tool that constantly makes players question what they're seeing. Creature designs remain faithful to cosmic horror, avoiding excessive action in favor of disturbing, unnatural appearances. The sound design is exceptional. Distant whispers, unsettling ambient noises, wildlife, and subtle musical cues constantly maintain tension. Audio often becomes your most valuable source of information. Final verdict. The Mound, Omen of Cthulhu, succeeds by focusing on psychological horror rather than cheap scares. Its sanity mechanics, cooperative gameplay, and oppressive atmosphere create a memorable survival experience that feels different from most modern horror games. While repetitive objectives and limited combat depth prevent it from reaching its full potential, the overall experience remains engaging, especially with friends. For players who enjoy slow-burning horror, teamwork, and Lovecraft-inspired storytelling, the Mound, Omen of Cthulhu is well worth exploring. Final score 8.3 out of 10.